This podcast is sponsored by the book, The Biased Brain, by Bo Bennett, PhD. Dive into the world of cognitive biases and transform your understanding of reality. Get your copy today at thebiasedbrain.com.
Understanding the belief in a just world and its impact on our thinking. Explore how the belief in a just world influences our judgments and introduces bias, shaping decision-making and human cognition every day. Why we believe the world is fair, even when it's not. Hey, have you ever noticed how sometimes we just assume that people get what they deserve? Like if someone works hard, they'll succeed. Or if something bad happens to a person, it must be because they did something wrong. That's actually a pretty common way of thinking, and it's called the belief in a just world. It's this idea that the world basically makes sense and is fair, justice happens, and people get what they deserve. This belief makes a lot of sense because it helps us feel safe and in control. If the world were totally random or chaotic, life would feel overwhelming and scary. So believing in a just world is kind of like our brain's way of keeping things steady and predictable. But here's the kicker. This belief can also lead to some pretty biased thinking. It's a perfect example of how our biased brain can trick us into oversimplifying reality. For instance, if we see someone struggling or in an unfortunate situation, we might unconsciously blame them for it, even if they're just unlucky. It's a cognitive shortcut our brain takes to avoid discomfort, but it can cause real harm by fostering judgment and unfair assumptions. Researchers in psychology have studied this a ton, and they found that this just world belief is a type of cognitive bias. It's not necessarily about being ignorant or mean. It's about how human cognition is wired to spot patterns and structure in a chaotic world. But sometimes that wiring leads us to unfair conclusions. Think about it. When you hear about someone facing hardship, do you tend to wonder what they did to deserve it? That reaction might come from this ingrained bias, rather than any real knowledge of the situation. On the flip side, this belief makes us more likely to feel comfortable or hopeful about our own futures, that hard work will pay off and justice will prevail. It also ties closely to what's called victim blaming, which can be especially harmful. People might say things like, well, if she hadn't been walking alone at night, this wouldn't have happened, instead of acknowledging the unfairness or randomness involved. It's uncomfortable to face the idea that bad things just happen without rhyme or reason, so many of us prefer to believe in a just world, even if it's not strictly true. Understanding this bias is a key part of improving critical thinking and biases in general. When we realize that our minds naturally lean towards seeing the world as fair, we can be more cautious about making snap judgments. Instead of assuming cause and effect too quickly, we can pause, consider other explanations, and look for real evidence. All of this connects to a bigger picture of how bias in decision-making works. Our brains are powerful but not perfect. They constantly filter and interpret information based on past experiences, emotions, and yes, biases, like the belief in a just world. If you're into understanding more about how these kinds of mental shortcuts and biases shape our thoughts and choices, I highly recommend checking out the book The Biased Brain by Bo Bennett, PhD. It does an amazing job of breaking down complex ideas about human cognition into relatable, digestible insights. So next time you catch yourself thinking, that person must have done something wrong, pause for a second. Ask yourself, is this belief coming from a fair assessment of the facts, or is it just my brain trying to keep the world orderly and just? Being aware of these hidden biases isn't just interesting, it's a real step toward empathy and better decision-making. Explore the book and unravel the secrets of your mind today. Understanding these patterns in your thinking can help you navigate life with more clarity and less judgment. Here's the link again, https://www.thebiasedbrain.com.